we are third in the Pacific right now, which is never good
And-
enough for a
and-
team of this caliber.
And even if we do make the playoffs, I think it's a very real possibility that we're a first-round exit, especially if we draw a wild card spot.
I think
If you're the Oilers and you have to go up at away and you got to go play a team like Colorado, or you got to go play a team like Dallas,
we're gonna lose.
welcome back, everybody, to another edition of Brothers in the Box. Ishan, this is 6 months.
It is officially 6 months.
Well, that's crazy.
I know.
That's
it is,
crazy.
it
We've been sitting here on a weekly basis for 6 months, giving content to all of our 10 fans. Some of them who listen out of love, not for the love of the game, but because they love us.
But there's some that will listen just because they do have
Absolutely. And we appreciate every single one of you for whatever reason you're listening, because we do appreciate the support. Wow, it's been a big week in the NHL.
It's been a massive week in the NHL. I think
You know what else is massive?
Okay,
all right.
we're not 5 years old. But yeah, the trade deadline happened. For those of you who were able to join into our live stream that we had,
we had a live stream yesterday. Some unfortunate technical difficulties.
Some we weren't entirely prepared for, but now we know for next time.
We know for next time. Good learnings for next time. Instagram was not the ideal place to do the live stream. We wanted to do it on YouTube, but some things happened and we weren't able to make that happen. But a huge shout out to Sahil Koja for being able to join us yesterday and give us some insight into his favorite team, the Canucks, and just sit down with us for a few hours and go over the end of the trade deadline. A lot of the trades, though, happened right at the deadline, and for this reason, we were not able to cover them because our live stream ended at 12. Some prior commitments and other things like that, so we weren't able to stay online for probably, I want to say, about half the deadline.
Yeah, a lot happened after 12, and obviously there's some trades that are in the queue and stuff like that. So,
if they get submitted before 12 p.m., then they're able to get processed. But
I did not think it would be this many trades.
I did not think it would be this
and it
many
would be like this
trades.
influential amount of trades as well.
There's a lot of big trades. So in addition to what we posted yesterday, which was the live stream, just the audio recording of the live stream, which is on Saturday. This episode's gonna get released on Sunday. We're gonna kind of quickly recap the trades. We're gonna pick out a few of the notable ones that we think will have a really big impact on the league, and then we'll kind of obviously talk about the Oilers because that's what we do here. Then we got a couple other things that maybe you guys aren't expecting. Maybe you are. I don't know. But I think Ishan, why don't you just dive in?
Yeah. All right. Well, one of the first notable trades that we wanted to talk about was an Oilers trade. In fact, they were kind of like, I don't know, we talked about this on the live yesterday. At least you talked about it, but like they were kind of the team that started off the trades.
I feel like it was the same as last year. They started off the trades kind of last year.
Yeah, I mean, they're not afraid. Like the Oilers organization isn't afraid to make moves that they think are going to be beneficial for the team, and
I feel though is sometimes when you are the team that bites first, you set the price for the market, and that can sometimes come back to haunt you.
Yeah,
because I think with the Oilers' second trade that they made at the deadline, I think they probably could have gotten more for their first round pick.
I agree, but I think this trade was very good from the Oilers and from Stan Bowman. The trade was Chicago sends Connor Murphy at 50% retained, and exchange for the 2028 second round pick. And I think Connor Murphy, very good lockdown defenseman. He's been talked about a lot in Chicago, and he's had a career where he hasn't had much success because he's been on the Blackhawks. But he, as an individual player, is a solid defenseman.
As a PK, like a player and like a shutdown defensive defenseman, I think he fits the role very nicely. In the short minutes that I watched last night's game, I really liked the minutes that he played. He got a few good blocks in. He had some good PK shifts.
Yeah, and I think he really helps out the defensive core for I think a big part about what the Oilers do as an organization is putting pressure on players to perform well, and that's how you keep your spot in the lineup. And I think, adding an extra defenseman, obviously puts pressure on Emerson to play well. But honestly, it could put pressure on any defenseman to know that someone is there to take your
Someone's
place
down the
if
pipeline,
you
yeah.
don't perform to your best ability. And I think that's nice to have.
Yeah, and even, I don't know if you saw yesterday, I think Bush is doing a little bit of a better job blocking shots.
Yeah, I think
So and I don't know if that's Connor Murphy or it's something they talked about in practice, but he's gonna have a little bit of an impact up and down the lineup, he brings a little bit more of a physical presence and yeah, like you said, he's challenging to keep having those big minutes like he was playing in Chicago.
yeah,
He wants that as a player and he'll challenge some of the Oilers defensemen to work a little bit harder
yeah,
to keep that spot. Second trade was, Nashville sending, Michael McCarron, who scored in last night's game,
yes.
for a 2028 second round. It was a solid deal from Nashville garnering some picks, and for Minnesota, it's already reaped some rewards with him scoring yesterday,
Yeah,
so
I think it was a good trade for both teams.
I think do you wanna should we give him a letter grade each trade?
I think so, yeah, I
Yeah.
think that'd be fun. So for Chicago, I think it's an A.
I think it's an A minus.
Okay, A
A minus
minus.
for the Oilers and, like, a B plus for Chicago.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, I agree with that.
because they retained some salary and Edmonton second round pick is gonna be a higher pick, but in my opinion, second rounders are kinda overrated
Yeah. No,
in
that's
this
fair.
league.
For Nashville, I think this is, an
A plus?
yes. I think this is an amazing deal 'cause, in my complete honesty, I don't know much about Michael McCarron. But sending away a player when you're not retaining any salary and you're getting back a solid second round pick that, in my opinion, could be worth a lot in the future is very good. And obviously, they're blowing up their team a little bit more and trading away some of those pieces for high picks is, I think, is good.
Fair, fair. Next trade we have is, Vegas Golden Knights acquire Cole Smith from the Nashville Predators for Christoph Sidoff and a third round pick.
Yeah, I think this was good from both teams.
I'm gonna go like a light B or B plus for both teams.
Yeah, I think that's
You know, the Nashville Predators get a defensive prospect and like a lower round pick, and Cole Smith is a guy who's gonna have an impact, but it's not gonna be
yeah.
major impact. You know what I mean?
The next trade is Dallas Stars acquire defenseman Tyler Myers from Vancouver for a second round pick in 2027 and a fourth round pick in 2029. I like this deal. I like this deal from the Canucks.
I do too.
I think they got more than I thought they would get.
Hmm.
For Tyler Myers, I think I could definitely see them getting a second and then including a fourth in there as well. I think is very nice.
And even Sahil yesterday was saying that he really liked this pick.
Yeah. But yeah, and I think from Dallas as well, getting a big defenseman that's, not the most amazing, but is very solid.
He's good at shot blocking.
Yeah.
He's gonna hit, and he has reach to
Yeah.
make some plays with his
Disrupt some
stick,
plays as
and
well, yeah.
yeah, he's not gonna be playing the same amount of minutes he was playing in Vancouver. Maybe he slots down to the third line instead of second, but I think you're gonna get some quality minutes out of him.
I think it's like a B plus from the Stars and an A from Vancouver.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah. For Colorado, they acquired defenseman Nick Blankberg from Nashville in exchange for a fifth round pick in the 2027 draft. And I think the main reason this is like a influential trade is just because of Colorado's defense. I think
Mhm.
it's been in question the last couple years of how good their defense is, especially this year. And in the past, it's been one of the best parts of their team. And I think this helps that a little bit.
Yeah, I think, I don't know, I'm gonna give Nashville kind of a C plus here,
Yeah.
and I think Colorado I think I don't know if Nick Blankenberg fits the team
Yeah.
completely, so I'm leaning towards, like, a B minus. Makes their defensive, like we talked about yesterday, a little bit bigger, and kinda helps him out with some shot blocking, maybe some PK minutes, but that's kinda about it. Yeah.
The next trade was a very, very big trade. I was not expecting this,
No.
but Utah got MacKenzie Weegar from Calgary for Olimata, Jonathan Castanga, and 3 second-round picks. Or yeah, 3 second-round picks in the 2026.
I really like this from the Mammoth.
Yeah, I think it was good from both teams, but I
Yeah.
think the Mammoth won the trade.
I think so, yeah. Like, not having to give up a first is really big. Obviously, 3 second-round picks or yeah, 3 second-round picks, the fact that they have 3 second-rounders in this year's draft is kinda crazy.
Mhm.
It gives Calgary some capital to continue to push for a rebuild and to try and find some gems that are hidden in that second round. They have 3 shots to try and hit. Olimata's not a bad defenseman. He kind of a little bit bigger than Uyghur is, but the back end of Utah is looking really nice now.
Yeah, I think, they have Mikhail Sergachev, Sean Durzi, now they have Mackenzie Weegar. But yeah, I
I
think
could see them making a late push to the playoffs with, like, a wild card push with this lineup.
yeah. And then obviously good from Calgary as well with getting a good prospect and then a solid defenseman to fill that spot as well as, what you said, like a good amount of draft capital. I think maybe even A plus from Utah. And then I would go with an A and then probably an A minus from Calgary.
I like that. I like that for sure.
Mhm.
The next trade is the Oilers acquire Jason Dickinson and Colton Dock from the Chicago Blackhawks in exchange for Andrew Mangiapane and a conditional first round pick in the 2027 NHL draft. I know we've talked about moving Mangiapane for a while. If the deal finally gets done after he played a shift in the AHL, you know, the Mangiapane experiment unfortunately didn't work out in Edmonton, and we talked about this yesterday on the live stream, but uh, unfortunate that it had to happen this way. Jason Dickinson is a great PK player. He's a good defensive-minded center. Isha and I noticed that he didn't get a lot of playing time. He played 5 minutes yesterday, which is just
5 minutes, was it 5 on 5, 5
five
minutes?
five on 5 on 5
'Cause
5 minutes. Yeah,
he did play at
on that.
every single PK.
I just it's just really disheartening for me to see that Knobloch trusts these guys so little.
Yeah, he played a total of 12 minutes,
12 minutes, okay.
but 5 minutes of that was 5 on 5. So, like, you think about I don't know, like, obviously, like, we took a lot of penalties last
We
game,
did,
like,
yeah.
more than we should have, and, putting him there is what you need to do, but I think one of the reasons that Stan Bowman brought Dickinson in was to take pressure off of McDavid and Draisaitl to play against top lines of teams and, give them rest, and just, like, shut down top lines because that's what you need to do, and you can't our entire basis of that before was just out shooting them.
Yeah.
And that was not clear last night. We didn't outshoot
We
Carolina.
we got we got doubled up on shots last
Yeah.
night, so
So, yeah, like, we need to do something about that, and I don't know what it is, but you need to see a change before the next game, which is tomorrow.
yeah. Um, for Chicago, I think I'm gonna give both teams a B plus.
Yeah.
I think that's fair. I think Mangiapane will strive with bigger minutes and a bit better role.
I honestly think I would give Chicago an A minus.
Yeah,
I think they definitely won this trade
I think so too,
because
actually,
they
yeah.
got a
They got the
first,
first, yeah.
and, obviously, you don't know how much that first is gonna be, but what the Oilers have done is they've always been trading 1 year in advance, like, their first round pick 1 year in advance, like, this is the 2027 pick, and obviously, you don't know how well the Oilers are gonna be, like, obviously, they're not gonna be bad, but they could be not amazing either, so getting that, first round pick as well as Mangiapane, I think is good.
Yes, absolutely.
Mhm.
The next trade is the Golden Knights acquire for Nick Daoud from the Washington Capitals for goalie Jesper Vikman, a third round pick, and a second round pick. I think this was big because Washington really helped their rebuild, and Vegas got I think Daoud is a center, so like a defensively minded center that brings a veteran presence to help maybe their chances at and making a deep playoff run.
Yeah, I think it was a very good trade from them.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything much more to say. I like the trade from the Capitals. I want to give them an A. I might give Vegas an A minus
Yeah.
because they did give up a little bit of capital, but it's a good trade from both teams.
Yeah. The next trade was Colorado traded for Nicholas Raw from Toronto in exchange for a conditional first round pick in 2027 or 2028 and a conditional fifth round pick in the 2026 draft.
Uh, I'm personally a fan of this for Colorado,
No,
not so much Toronto.
you don't think so.
No.
Why not?
Colorado has, I think, in the past struggled with center depth,
Yeah,
and, seeing the moves that they made this deadline really addressed that, and I honestly think they're the team to beat now with the moves that they made.
I think they're
In
the
the
team to beat before they
in the
even made the
league.
moves. No, no,
In the
absolutely. I
league,
think
yeah.
even before they made the moves, they just made themselves that much scarier.
Uh,
But yeah, I think with
and
center depth wise, yeah,
you have a shutdown center who's gonna play those hard minutes for you, who's gonna play PK minutes for you, and, he's a seasoned guy who's gone and won a championship
yeah.
with Vegas. He's gone all the way. He's had a few playoff runs, and, the draft capital that they got back, I don't think justifies the amount, and it was kind of I think the GM for Toronto, Brad Treliving, kinda said, "We're kinda done. We kinda give up." It kinda signals like a little like a wave of a white flag.
I don't completely hate it for Toronto though. I think, getting a first rounder back as well as a fifth rounder
Yeah,
is
but
very
I don't think that yeah, I know it's not a first rounder this year, but I still think that that first rounder isn't gonna be worth a lot next year. I think it's gonna be, like, 25 to 32,
yeah, no, that's fair.
you know?
Mhm.
So, that's just what I'm saying. So, but
Yeah.
Colorado, I give them an A. I think for Toronto, I'm really looking like a C plus.
I would argue a B minus. I think a C is like C plus is a little bit too extreme because
Yeah,
I think they still got a first and it's a guaranteed first in 2027 or 2028.
sure.
And then I think the fifth rounder as well is nice because you never know what they're gonna do with that.
Just a sweetener, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. The next trade was Dallas getting Michael Bunting from Nashville in exchange for a third round pick. I really like this trade from Dallas.
From Dallas, yeah. Uh, like, asserting the fact that they want, fast checking forwards who are gonna make an immediate impact.
Michael Bunting has been really, really good,
I think
in his career.
he hasn't gotten the same opportunities to shine in Nashville like he did have in Toronto, and I think he fits in really well with that Dallas team, and I think he will have an immediate impact and boost just the depth of the team, especially when you get guys like Rantanen and Rupe Hintz back from injury, that the team's depth becomes really scary, especially with the fact that Tyler Shengun is not is probably not gonna be able to make playoffs.
Yeah. I know we're on the topic of both Dallas and Colorado. I don't did you watch the game last night?
I did not.
It was an amazing game. Dallas was I believe they were ahead, and then Colorado made the comeback. And
Shootout, right?
yeah, it was an exciting overtime, went to shootout, and both Blackwood made 2 amazing saves,
Yeah.
in shootout, and 2 nasty goals scored by Necas and Etruscan. But yeah, I think, like, both these teams look so nasty, and
They scored with
obviously
15 seconds left.
yeah,
Wow.
both these teams look they look so scary, like, when watching, and just to think, like, half their players weren't even half their, good players weren't playing, like, Rupe Hintz and Rantanen weren't playing in this game, and, as we're gonna talk about later, but Kadri and Nikwa weren't playing in this game either.
Think I think important to note that, Blackwood had a .636.
Yeah, he was not amazing, but
Yeah.
I think he, they played their heart out, and I think they played really well,
Yeah.
both teams.
No, 100%. That's very fair. You know? What would you give, this Michael Bunting trade, though?
I would give, an A to Dallas, and I would say, honestly, a B
A
to
a B?
Nashville
Yeah,
because I think
I like that.
I didn't think don't think they developed him right.
Yeah,
But, yeah.
I like that. Our next trade is Ottawa Senators acquire forward Warren Fogle and a conditional third-round pick in the 2026 draft from the Los Angeles Kings for a second-round pick and a conditional third pick. So a pick swap and then basically Warren Fogle for a second, which I am kind of iffy about
For who?
for Ottawa.
Okay.
I like Warren Fogle as a player. I think he brings pace to his game. He shoots the puck really well.
You don't think he's worth a second?
I don't think he's worth a second.
Okay, that's fair. I mean, he's still young-ish,
Yeah,
so that's probably why they had to give up more than they think, just because you never know what player's gonna develop into.
percent.
Um, but I think it's a solid from both teams.
That's fair. That's fair. I'm leaning towards kind of like a B minus for Ottawa. I don't know how much that buffs up your team to make
Yeah, I just think it's just a depth piece,
yeah.
like, I think bottom six player has the possibility of elevating, his
Hmm.
game. Don't know if that's gonna happen, but, change of scenery is always nice, and he could benefit from that.
That's true.
Yeah.
And then Los Angeles. Honestly, I think it's more of a C plus
Yeah, I
or
think
even a C because I think it gives way to more questions about where your future is headed and what you're kind of doing because you trade for Panarin and then now you don't go all in at the deadline for a push. You're kind of backing down and you're saying, "Oh, I'm gonna trade a depth piece for some picks."
yeah.
Like it just doesn't fully compute in my mind.
Yeah, I
It's
don't
kind
know.
of wishy
I
washy
mean,
from Ken
it
Holland.
would've made sense from me if they traded Warren Fogle and then flip those picks for something else,
Yeah,
um, but they did not.
no,
They did actually, they might have actually. I know they made a trade later, but I know they used
it
some
was
I don't know if they used the same picks.
they might have used the pick to get Scotty Lawton,
Yeah, Scott
but that
Laughton.
was it was Ottawa's pick, but they probably could have done it with their pick.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. We'll have to
I have to see
see.
how that trade tree
Yeah.
unfolds. The next trade was the Red Wings acquiring David Perron from the Ottawa Senators for a conditional fourth round.
I don't think there's too much to say about
No, too
this.
much
I
to
think it's
say.
good from
It's
both teams. I
yeah.
think both teams B plus.
Yeah. Columbus acquire forward Connor Garland from the Vancouver Canucks for a third round pick in the 2026 NHL draft and a second round pick in 2028.
I thought for Vancouver, this was uh, a B minus, and for Columbus, this was a A minus.
Yeah, I mean, I think I would even put you said A minus for Vancouver?
A minus for Columbus, B minus for Vancouver.
I would switch that
Okay, why?
because Connor Garland's contract at the moment hasn't kicked in yet, but he's getting like a 5 by 5.
Yeah,
And if I'm Vancouver, I don't really want to be paying a 5 by 5, especially if I'm coming in a rebuild.
yeah,
And
with a no movement as well.
exactly. And the fact that they kind of got rid of that contract before that the new one kicked in is really nice. I don't hate Connor Garland as a player. I think he's a little undersized, but he has a lot of grit and he gets into those dirty areas and he's kind of like a weasel a little bit.
Yeah, I,
I think he'll fit into that Columbus team.
yeah. I think the reason that I put Columbus at an A minus is because yeah, I agree he'll fit into the team, and I think he's gonna flourish with the change of scenery. I think he obviously hasn't been putting up the season that he has as he wanted to this year, as he
Mhm.
did like the last couple of years. But I think the reason that I put Vancouver lower was because I think they could have got
A little
more.
more capital.
Yeah, I think they could have at least got us 2 seconds. I didn't think there would be a third and a second.
Yeah,
And
but
they also didn't get this.
there's no retention,
Yeah,
and I'm sure that I don't know who the GM is for Columbus, but I'm sure he argued that, we're picking up this big contract that you guys signed last offseason,
yeah.
and You know what I mean?
And the only other thing that I wish the Canucks would have done was made the second round pick possibly for the 2026 draft instead of um the 2028.
28, yeah.
Just because I know they're trying to build as many pieces up right now.
Mhm.
And I don't know how beneficial it's just a little bit more uncertainty in the
Yeah, and,
2028 draft.
they might go and trade that to go get a player or a
Yeah.
prospect, something like that.
Mhm.
A big trade, in my opinion, a pivot trade for the Buffalo Sabres because there was rumors earlier in the week that Colton Parayko might be waiving his no trade clause in St. Louis to go to Buffalo. Ultimately, that deal fell through because Parayko did not waive, and so the Sabres pivoted and instead acquired Logan Stanley and Luke Schenn from the Winnipeg Jets, in exchange for Isaac Rosen, Jacob Bryson, and a second-round pick in the 2027, and a conditional fourth-round pick.
I think this is a good trade from both teams. I
Yeah.
think it was better from the Blues. I think the Blues. Oh, sorry.
It's
The
Winnipeg?
Winnipeg. I think, yeah, Winnipeg had the better trade because they got, in my opinion, Isaac Rosen is a very good
He
prospect.
is a nice prospect.
Jacob Bryson, I don't know too much about, but I'm sure he's great as well. And then a second and a fourth is solid for a player like Logan Stanley and Luke Shen. I know those are two very influential players on their team
Yeah,
before,
they
but they're pivoting because of how horrible of a season they're having.
they played, yeah, and, Luke Schenn was traded there, I believe, last season.
Yeah,
So, interesting to see how that trade tree, pans out, but, not the type of player that Buffalo is looking for, but still beefing up their back end to try and push for the playoffs for the first time in, what, 17, 18 years?
yeah,
And I think it's really possible in that Atlantic division. It's been really bad.
yeah,
It's been really bad, so we'll see how that, pans out. But, Ishan, do you wanna break probably the biggest trade
yeah.
leading up to the actual deadline day itself?
Yeah, I think this is the trade that I wasn't expecting at all. I think this was like it caught me really off guard. But the Anaheim Ducks got John Carlson from the Capitals for a conditional first rounder and a third round pick. I think amazing from the Ducks.
Really nice from the Ducks.
Yeah, but I also think
Also really nice from the Caps.
yeah,
You know, I thought that John Carlson would retire a Capital.
yeah,
Obviously, that is not gonna be the case most likely, but I think that the Ducks bring in a veteran presence who's done it before, who will help guide this team to hopefully secure a spot in the playoffs this year and maybe make a run, who knows?
yeah, and I think like obviously the Ducks have space, but no retention from the Capitals. I think is good because of how big John Carlson's contract is. He has a $8 million cap hit. So, obviously, the Ducks can take it on because 'cause they're a younger team,
Yeah,
but
and
I think it was good.
yeah, and, the Capitals are starting to move into that rebuild era, and you saw that with that Nick Daoud trade, and now with this John Carlson trade, you get a little bit more capital. You can go fire a couple picks in the first round this year and try and hit on a couple guys because the class is deep for that first round. It's gonna be a good class. Our top 3 are absolutely insane
Yeah,
this year. So good move from both teams. I wanna give the Ducks an A minus and the Caps an A.
I agree. Yeah. A trade that, was influential to us, but also around the league is, the Sam Carrick trade where the Sabres got Sam Carrick, and the Rangers got a 3rd round pick and a 6th round pick, both in the 2026 draft. I think this was the reason it was hit home a little bit is because Sam Carrick used to play for the
You
Oilers.
did, yes.
Um, but I think this was a really good trade from the Rangers. I think it's a A or A minus from the Rangers,
I
and
agree.
I think, the Sabres also get a nice depth piece that plays on the PK
Get
and
some quality
yeah,
quality minutes for them as well.
yeah.
I think I'm gonna go like a B or B plus for the Sabres.
Yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
fair.
The next trade, and we're starting to get into some of the bigger trades of that were coming up closer to that 12 p.m. deadline, but Bobby Brink from the Flyers was sent to Minnesota in exchange for David Jiricek. I really like that for the Wild. I think Bobby Brink is a good forward who will play probably bottom 6 minutes for them,
Yeah.
who has been playing top 6 minutes in Philly. So we'll see his production probably go down.
But, having that ability to elevate that player that can play top 6 minutes is great.
Is, yeah, 100% a really, solid, ability to have, and, Billy G's kind of been cooking at the deadline.
Yeah.
Yeah. The trade, the grade I would give the Wild is probably, a B plus, and I think the same for the Flyers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The next trade is another trade that hits home, is the Lightning received, like, they got him back, and I was not expecting this either, but it
No.
was Corey Perry, at 50% retained, and the Kings get a 2028 second rounder. Uh,
So we can confirm that the Lightning are not winning the Stanley Cup. They might make it to the Stanley Cup final, but they're not gonna win.
yeah, I mean, the only time that Corey Perry has won a Stanley Cup is with the Lightning, no?
No.
I swear he won one with, the Lightning.
The year he went to the Lightning, I think,
They
they lost.
lost?
Yeah. But interesting pivot from Ken Holland out there in LA, and I think that the fact that they were able to get a second round pick for Corey Perry, obviously this was 50% retained, but I think says a lot, you know?
Yeah.
I think that the Kings won the trade.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
I'd give an A minus and maybe even a B minus to Lightning.
He did win with the Lightning.
Oh, he
He
did win.
won, yeah, he's lost 5 out of 6
Oh,
Stanley Cup
5 out of 6. Okay.
appearances. Yeah, that's
Okay.
insane.
Yeah. So, but I would say it's a pretty good shout to say that he's not winning this year.
Yeah.
Our next trade was the Capitals getting Timothy Lindgren from the Sharks for a 2026 fourth round pick, which was coming from Vegas. Kind of a, I don't even know why I included this actually, because it's kind of a
Yeah,
throwaway
I
trade.
mean, Timothy Lindgren is not a bad defenseman. He will develop further um, in Washington.
Hmm.
So I think, it wasn't a horrible trade, but not too big.
Not too influential either. The next trade though was shocking to me because a captain was traded. And it wasn't the first captain because I don't know if we included it, but Nick Foligno was also traded for future considerations.
He was. Trading
Yeah,
your captain for future
and he
considerations,
went to Minnesota. So Marcus and Nick Foligno are now playing on the same team,
which is very
which is,
exciting.
yeah, very cool for them. I think it's a really cool opportunity. So we got a couple of brother pairings in the league now playing together.
Mm,
But the trade that sent Braden Schenn, or captain of the St. Louis Blues, and he got sent to the New York Islanders in exchange for Jonathan Drouin, Marcus Gidloff, and a 2026 first round pick from Colorado and a 2026 third round pick from New Jersey. I think good from the Islanders
yeah.
for maybe even knocking on the door of the playoffs. Right now, I think they're sitting first or second in the Metro.
Yeah, but I think it was better from the Blues. I think they got a
Yeah, they
lot
got a lot for,
for their
for the
captain,
captain, and
which makes sense.
yeah, it's a tough decision trading away your captain like that, but for them to pivot like that, I still think the Blues are kind of in a limbo situation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do we retool or do we fully rebuild?
I think they're starting to move towards the rebuild, and they show that by their moves in the deadline
Yeah,
because they got a lot of nice younger guys as well as a lot of first round picks for
yeah,
this year's draft. So we'll see what they do.
yeah, and that kind of sentiment was confirmed by the next trade that was made, which was the Red Wings getting defenseman Justin Falk from the Blues in exchange for Justin Hall, Dmitry. I don't even know how to say this name.
Dmitry,
Buchnelik Buchnelikov,
yeah, something like that.
first round pick and a 2026 third round pick from San Jose.
And so stacking up on those first is always nice. Like you said before, the draft class is good this year, and I think they'll get good pieces.
I think looking at those moves back to back, the plan for St. Louis, and I like it. I
Yeah.
think that they had an efficient deadline as sellers.
Yeah, moving on to the next one.
Something that we were kind of upset about.
We were hoping that this player would go to the Oilers, but it was Bobby McMahon, who I did not think would go to the Kraken.
I did not think so.
But he went for a fourth round pick in the 2026 draft and a second round pick in the 2027. And I was surprised that was all it took to get it done. Think
his contract is relatively he has a relatively low cap it for I think that the impact that he brings to the team. And, he's on an expiring deal this year, so he'll probably won't stay in Seattle unless they pay him, but I don't
like
know.
if I was the Oilers and, maybe this won't turn out as good as it does, but if I was the Oilers, I would have rather used my first round pick to try and just go get Bobby McMahon instead of going to go get someone like Colton Dock. But you never know how that's gonna turn out.
Absolutely not, yeah.
But yeah, we'll see.
We shall see. This next trade for the Ducks.
I think it just showed how much they are like pushing for the playoffs, I would say, and who they value to be on that team. I think Ryan Strome, he's obviously an older player, and so maybe they don't want to give him those top 6 minutes. Like obviously younger guys are getting it, and just dumping that contract on the Flames helps them.
Yeah, for sure. We got a couple moves, just as the deadline approached from the Canucks. They sent Lucas Rakell to Boston for a 2026 sixth round pick. I personally like Rakell.
Yeah, I think the Canucks traded for him this year, right?
Yeah,
From the
they did. They
Blackhawks?
did. I don't think they gave him a real chance,
No, I don't think so
to be
either.
honest. And then they also sent David Kampf to the Caps for a sixth round pick. So, you know, not huge trades that were made, but
Two good influential players.
yeah.
A bigger trade that we talked about earlier was the Scott Laughton trade, where he got sent to the Kings for a conditional third round pick, and I think good trade from both teams.
Yeah, I think the Leafs lost this trade.
Yeah,
I think they could have gotten a little bit more, but
I think they just want to get rid of him.
yeah, for sure. I think so. But the last trade, finally ending our deadline recap.
Probably the biggest
The
shocker.
biggest shock. It was kind of similar to the Brad Marchand trade. Not as big of a shock.
Yeah, it's
Um,
definitely gonna hurt in the playoffs.
yeah, the Avalanche traded for Nazem Kadri and a fourth round pick in exchange for Victor Olofsson, Max Curran, a conditional 2028 first round pick, and a conditional 2027 second round pick. Personally, from the Flames, I love this trade. From the Avalanche, I also love this trade. This center depth that the Avalanche have of McKinnon, Nelson, Kadri, Roy,
Yeah, it's
it's that's a,
it's
that's a
insane.
killer.
What's funny is when I was looking on Twitter and looking through different trades, I saw I think it was the Oilers hub that posted, yeah, the Avs center depth is good, but the Oilers are still better. And I understood it to some extent because they laid it out for everyone. It was McDavid's better than McKinnon, Draisaitl's better than Nelson, Kadri's better than Dickinson, and I believe they put Henrique better than Raw.
I don't know if I would agree with that, but sure.
Um, And I understood that to some extent, but the top comment that I saw out of that was how much better Kadri is than Dickinson. And, like, I understand Henrique and Raw can go neck and neck. Sure, Raw might take it out a little, have the edge, but Kadri is not a third line center.
No, he's not.
Marchand is not a third line
No,
center.
he's not.
And both of those players playing third line center on their respective teams is insane.
It is. It is. And maybe you don't. Maybe you put Kadri up on the second line and you move Brock to the third, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah, like the team is still insane.
The thing I think that casual NHL fans fail to understand is in the playoffs, your third line, and I stand by this, that's the line that's going to win you games.
It is because
It's not your top two lines. They're done. They're fighting. Yeah, you get them on the power play, and the Oilers have been very gifted to have a power play that hits at a extremely efficient rate,
yeah,
and players on our top two lines that are going to make huge influential plays and keep us in it. But in the playoffs, in this era, in the type of hockey that is being played in the playoffs, you need a solid, not even a solid, a very good third line in order to go win games.
I agree.
And I will never ever say anything different.
Yeah, I think, the depth is what wins you a lot of games in the playoffs because a lot of times, you're putting your top guys out there, your top guys are getting tired. They're
Yeah.
gonna get tired over and over again if you continuously put them out there, and that's shown with McDavid and Draisaitl, like, they can't do everything.
There's a reason in 2024 why we went to 7 games with Florida. It was because of Henrique, Janmark, and Connor Brown, and I
Yeah.
stick by that.
That line was amazing, and,
That was my favorite line to watch during the
it
playoffs.
was, and we gotta have a line like that that's gonna help us compete, and right now, I don't see a line that the Oilers have that will help us compete with that.
Who aren't
There's
even
been
getting the opportunities to be able to
Yeah,
showcase
I
that
think there's
ability.
flashes of it, like, we've talked about this on the podcast before, but the Rostovic and or Howard and Savoy line, I love that line.
I
I
think
think it
that
was an
line can do
amazing line,
damage as a 3rd line, but,
but
you have to be willing to give them an opportunity, and
I don't know if Knobloch is willing to slot Savoy on that 3rd line because, he's been playing really well right now, and obviously you wanna elevate guys that are playing well, but, you never know if push comes to shove, that 3rd line is there, and
yeah, for
I
sure.
think he'll do well.
Yeah, I mean, just that wrapped up our trade deadline this year. It was a pretty exciting deadline,
I
if I
think
will
so.
say.
Mhm.
There was a couple big moves that were made. The biggest thing, in my opinion, that the Oilers missed out on was a goaltending change, and we saw that yesterday because there. I feel like we say this every year, but the the pivot, or this, if you will, a side grade.
Yeah, it
You know
wasn't
what I
good
mean?
enough.
You know what I mean when I say
Yeah.
side grade?
Yeah, yeah,
It's not. Yeah, it's not good enough. It's
it's
just
just it's simple, like, it's not good enough from both goaltenders, and, like, there's obviously more pressure on Yari because you're a player that's getting paid much more than
how
Ingram
much
is,
Ingram is. Yeah,
but and you have the playoff experience, and you have all the experience that you've taken from your time in Pittsburgh, and you're trying to shift it over to the Oilers, and something has to give.
yeah. We're 19 games away from the end of the season, and I have no idea who I would start in the playoffs if we even make the playoffs at all.
And I don't like, okay, in some cases, like, for example, if I'm looking at the Avs,
Yeah,
right? I might not know who to start because both goaltenders are playing well.
yeah, they are.
But the problem with the Oilers is both goaltenders are playing horrible. So which one do you trust more? You can't
Exactly.
trust
Yeah,
both.
I don't get it.
Like, you obviously don't want to put yourself in a situation where you don't trust any of them, and then you have to call up someone like Calvin Pickard again to try and
Exactly,
come save the day.
exactly.
And honestly, I think because you've taken your faith out of him completely and waived him, I don't think he'll even put up as much of a fight as he did in the last few years that because you put faith in him.
And I think as Oilers fans, Ishan, I think we really got to start exploring the possibility that one, we might not even make the playoffs,
Yeah, we are 3rd in the Pacific right now, which is never good
and
enough for a
and
team of this caliber.
And even if we do make the playoffs, I think it's a very real possibility that we're a 1st round exit, especially if we draw a wild card spot.
I think, yeah, like, obviously
If you're the Oilers and you have to go up at away, and you got to go play a team like Colorado,
we're
or
lo-
you got to go play a team like Dallas,
we're gonna lose, and that's it's
there's nothing else to say about that. It's
yeah,
just,
like, I don't know how many times we've had to say this, but we thrive off of playing at home, and
especially in the, maybe not in the regular season, but
but especially in the
especially in the
playoffs.
playoffs.
And the fact that we've consistently not done good enough in the regular season translates to the playoffs. Like, we can't do what we do and just don't play our game in the regular season. And then obviously sometimes it translates to the playoffs, and we've gone far in the last 2 years and it's shown that both, like, this entire core wants to win, but you have to play well in the regular season to do well in the playoffs. And
Like we're 4 points back from Vegas right now, and we're at the same amount of games played.
like, someone, I don't know who it is, if it's McDavid, if it's
No, it's
Knobloch,
not.
if it's
It's
Draisaitl, I don't know who it is, but every player in that locker room needs to understand that these last 19 games that we have to play are gonna be very, very influential for how the playoffs go. The entire team needs to push themselves to the best of their ability, um, to help star players like McDavid and Draisaitl, and just succeed as a team. Like, build show your fan base, show everyone for the rest of the league, all the other teams in the league that we know how to play our game, set lines that are gonna work for the playoffs, and blow out teams. Make teams scared of you. Right now, no one's scared of the Oilers. I'm not scared of the Oilers going to go beat someone. I think looking at other teams that are in the playoffs right now, I'm more scared of them than I am my own team. Just because, yes, McDavid and Draisaitl are scary. Bouchard is scary. There's so many threats on this team, but they're not coexisting together to win games, and that's just not good enough.
Yeah, it isn't good enough. They'll play Vegas, which will be a test. We need to win that game.
Yeah,
Need to win that game, which will happen Sunday night at 6 p.m. But switching to a little bit of a different
yeah. That's
kind of hockeyed out a little bit, but the World Baseball Classic started on well, Thursday night for us, but Friday morning, and I think this is a really cool
it's very exciting. Honestly,
sports.
I did not know a lot about this
Yeah.
before.
Do you want me to kind of explain
Yeah,
how
you wanna
the
give me and
format?
the viewers a little bit of a
Yeah, so basically the World Baseball format is 20 countries qualify throughout the year. The 20 teams are split into four different pools with 5 countries in each. And they play they play a round robin round with the top two teams in each pool advancing to the quarterfinals. But the difference with the World Baseball Classic compared to, say, the Olympics or even World Cups, each pool is played in a different place and they're geographically put together.
I think that's very cool.
Pool A is in San Juan. I think San Juan is in Puerto Rico.
Maybe
Should we fact check that?
yeah, we should.
It is the capital of Puerto Rico.
Okay.
But anyways, what?
No, I just like how you say Puerto Rico.
What is that? How you say it?
Uh,
Puerto Rico? Like
yeah, I know, it's not like we've both been taking Spanish, so
yeah.
obviously the accent kicks in
Yeah.
sometimes.
Well, anyways, Puerto Rico is obviously gonna be in that pool along with Cuba and Canada. I mean, I had to
That
do
was
it.
just unnecessary.
No, it's
Cuba, you can say
Cuba,
Cuba.
Cuba, Canada, Panama, and Colombia.
Yeah,
Um, and then we got Pool B in Houston, who has Mexico, United States,
Estados Unidos.
Italy, Italia,
Yeah,
Brazil, and Great Britain.
it's an interesting pool.
It is an interesting pool. It's a very worldwide pool. That's the rest of the tournament will be taking place in Houston, but that's Pool B. Pool C is in Tokyo, with Australia, Japan, Korea, Chinese Taipei, and Czechia.
What is Chinese Taipei?
Uh,
Is
I'm
that just Team China or
I'm not 100% sure because I'm pretty sure Taipei is the capital city of Taiwan.
okay? So
Um,
maybe it's Taiwan
and I
then?
only know this because there's a very tall building in Taipei called Taipei 101. When I was younger, I was kind of a little bit of a nerd about tall buildings. I'm not gonna lie. Okay, so Chinese Taipei is Taiwan.
Okay. It's interesting they wouldn't just use I mean, maybe there's a specific
It's
reason.
to signify their the
Relationship with China?
not the relationship with China, but the sovereignty of the nation.
Okay.
Yeah,
I mean, that's nice.
it is.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah, and then Pool D is in Miami, which is gonna be Venezuela, Dominican Republic,
Dominican Republic.
Israel, Netherlands, and Nicaragua. No, but the quarterfinals will be taking place all in the States.
Which makes sense.
Who do you think is gonna win in your opinion?
I think, obviously one of the there's a lot of teams that are good. I don't think Canada has a chance. But, there's a lot of Latin American players in baseball and all
Mm-hmm.
of them are really good. They all come from diverse backgrounds. A Latin American team could pull out a blinder, but I think the US are gonna win.
I think Japan has a chance to go back to back.
Yeah. They won
They won
last year.
last year, yeah.
Mhm.
And they don't have as much of a beefed up roster as they did last year. But I think with Shohei, the greatest
Anything can
baseball
win.
player on the planet,
Anything can happen.
yeah, anything can happen. But I think we can include some segments throughout the next couple
Yeah.
episodes to
When
just
I am watching, I don't wanna be cheering for the US even though I think they're gonna win. I
there's some
just
fun players in the
yeah.
US.
Like, that's the reason that I like the US for winning, or, like, I think they're gonna win because, Aaron Judge, Kyle Schwarber, Bobby
Oh,
Whitman Jr.,
Paul Skeens,
those players are all so nasty and
Ernie Clement,
so fun to watch.
Ern
Ernie.
Dog. No, but, no, I think it'll be fun
Mhm.
to see best on best baseball,
Yeah.
you know? And then just the last thing before we wrap up with player of the week, there's some huge NFL deals that were made this week. They won't process until the start of the 2026 season, which will happen next week, but the Bears sent DJ Moore and a 2026 fifth round pick to to the Buffalo Bills in exchange for a 2026 second round selection. And before we hopped on to record, you were just talking about how much NFL picks are valued.
Yeah, like, I was like, when I look at, like, a player like DJ Moore, he's very good.
He is.
He's obviously, like a really good player, and I think, you know, like, for only a second round pick, like, I just found that surprising.
Yeah.
Uh, and, like, honestly, I think, like, it's just how it happens in NFL, like, like, there's always gonna be selections that are, like, in later rounds that always pan out, and I think, like, someone like Brock Purdy, for example, turned out to be an amazing pick.
And I think the difference with the NFL is I think there's probably more athletes that, teams can choose from. You got so many different colleges
And they don't just
around the states.
immediately stand out. Like, for example, like, players like Gavin McKenna
Yeah.
or Ivan Stenberg, they have so many opportunities to stand out as much as possible, and playing different colleges all around the world, there's so many different factors that go into those
Yeah.
things. But, yeah, I think, it's exciting to see,
It
like
is exciting, yeah. Um, and the biggest news that broke was edge rusher Maxx Crosby was traded by the Raiders to the Ravens in exchange for the 14th pick and a 2027 first round pick. Shows you how much Maxx
he's
Crosby is worth.
yeah.
He's one of my favorite players to watch. He's a dog. He goes out and fights. I mean, he's a five-time Pro Bowler.
Mhm,
He earns everything that he's got and all the praise that he gets.
mhm.
And I think that the Ravens really kind of buffed up their defense with this move,
I
and
mean, that's something they struggled with this
they
year,
did,
so
yeah, absolutely. And it's really important to have a good edge rusher to be able to get home to the
yeah.
quarterback.
And before we finish with these NFL trades, I know I said this as a joke, but there is a possibility that, the Pats go trade for
AJ
AJ
Brown,
Brown.
yeah, AJ Brown Depot.
I mean, that will happen a lot if
Yeah,
he's on a
well,
team with,
I think I
Drake
think
May,
it's a trade that I would like to see New England make.
but I don't think the Eagles will go for it.
I don't know because, you saw some kinda.
Do you think they know that they're out of their kind of
I don't know if they're out. I think that they're
they still
not.
have really, like, big pieces like Saquon, they still have AJ Brown, and they still have Jalen Hurts, and all those players
I
they
think you gotta
performed.
move on from AJ Brown, especially with the kinda quarrels that they had last year with Sirianni and AJ
Yeah,
Brown, and kinda the direction that they want the team to go in is kinda a little bit different. I think that, you know, New England is in need of a star guy, especially now the fact that Stephon Diggs is gonna get dropped.
yeah,
He's had some legal troubles and he
yeah,
hasn't yeah, so, um, I would like to see it
yeah.
happen. I think it shakes
I
up the
mean,
league a little bit.
I'm honestly like, very excited for NFL next season. I think I'm gonna be more of an avid watcher than I was this season.
Yeah.
But yeah, very excited for what's to come.
Yeah, just, ending off with the player of the week. 2 of our favorite players.
Yeah, I think if not our favorite
Yeah,
players.
who play for other teams, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. You wanna go with the honorable mentions
I
first?
will. So the honorable mention is one of my favorite players, if not my favorite player in the league right
Yeah.
now. That's not on the Oilers. Marty Necas, he was the honorable mention this week. He could be the player of the week, but he had a couple less goals. But he had 3 goals, 7 assists in 4 games.
Obviously a little beefed up by last night's game. 4 points, which
But
is
I mean, he assisted and had a goal on each goal that they scored. So obviously it shows how much and how impactful he is to that
he is,
team.
yeah, and has been, yeah.
But yeah, amazing player to watch and so fun. And I don't know, you obviously didn't watch the game, but he scored a really nasty goal
Nasty
to
goal.
win the game in shootout.
And then arguably my favorite player in the league, Cutter Gauthier, 6 goals, 1 assist in 4 games played. Absolute dog. Just getting back to, he was shooting and scoring at this pace at the beginning of the year and kinda dipped down into production numbers.
And it showed with like the Anaheim obviously dipping down in the standings as well,
Yeah,
but now they found their way back up, and it
and they
shows
found their
because
rhythm and, Cutter's been kinda leading the way and, I I don't know if you're Philly, but you might be kinda kicking yourself for, obviously he didn't wanna go play in Philly, but he's a great player. He has a wicked wrister. He has a very bright future ahead of him.
yeah.
Yeah. We appreciate you guys listening, supporting us through 6 months of Brothers in the Box. We will be bringing some much liked content and updates on World Baseball Classic and NHL. But you guys have a good week.
Just make sure you guys check out the trade. If you guys want to listen to the full live, the recording of it, feel free to check that out. But yeah,
And then keep supporting on Instagram. We'll be releasing some more reels and content like that. And let us know what else you guys want to hear about.
yeah. Thank you guys.
And we'll see you next week.